Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Tina and this is Transform Your Mind, Transform Your Life. Today I wanted to talk about forgiveness, specifically forgiving yourself. So one of the things that I came across while I was trying to meditate and get more in touch with what my mind, my soul, and my body were feeling about different things, I came across the fact that I haven't been very kind to my body, and I never actually took the time to recognize the things that I've done in the past and apologize to my body for being so horrible to it. So when I was meditating, I was thinking about some things, and I was just like, ask my body, like, what do you want from me? Do you like this idea? Do you want to move forward with this? And my body was just kind of like, it was talking to me, but it was communicating with me the fact that I never had its best interest at heart. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I take good care of you. We eat good food. We're in a good place. You're safe and all this other stuff. I just need you to come along with me with this. And it was like, no, what about all the things that you did that you never even apologized for? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. And I just had this really deep, heartfelt, emotional moment, because I'm like, all the things that I did that I neglected to recognize, and I started apologizing profusely to what I've done to my body, because it has not been good. I haven't tried to like physically harm myself or anything like that, but it was just like, I haven't been the nicest. Like, I've been verbally abusive to my body. I've had not so great thoughts about my body. I've had done some things that felt like I was just punishing my body, and I just wasn't very kind to it throughout the years. Like, I just kept thinking, like, if this was my daughter, would I want her to do this to herself? Or would I do this stuff to my dog or to any human being? I'm like, no, I wouldn't do those things. They sound terrible. I would never say these things to another person. I wouldn't even treat my dog this way. And I'm just like mortified at the way I've been acting all these years towards my body. And I'm just like, well, what do you need from me? What can I do to make this up to you? And and it just kept communicating what I needed to do and how I needed to act, and just overall just stop judging my body so harshly. So I started apologizing again, and just saying, like, I am so sorry that I've been this way. And just like acting like, it's whatever. You're fed, your house, you're clothed, and you should be fine. Forget all the other stuff that I did. But that's not the case. Like, I wouldn't expect for somebody who's been abusive to me in those ways for so long to just be like, yeah, okay, I did those. I might have done those things, but you here, right? We still doing this? I would not want to listen to anything that person would say. I would lose all respect for that person. I wouldn't want to be around that person. I would just shut down completely. So that was just one of the things I was thinking about when it came in terms of my body. And I was just like, I need to do better. And this is where the forgiveness comes in, because I'm sitting here thinking to myself as I'm doing this meditation, I'm like, how is my body ever going to forgive me for the horrible things I've done to it? And it's like, I can get the forgiveness. I just need to change my actions. And so that's the core of forgiveness, right? You want to be able to let that stuff go and move on, but it's not something that you're ever going to really truly forget. You just make peace with it so you can move on. And that's what I did. I was like, I made peace with myself and what I did in the past, because that's all I knew. I didn't know this stuff. I didn't know how to heal myself through my mind and all that stuff. I didn't think about changing my thoughts and my actions so they can coincide. I just kept thinking about how I want these things to happen and this isn't happening. So it's really difficult when you're in the moment because you're thinking this is all the way bad. But you have to be able to forgive yourself. And I know a lot of people, because I grew up in the church, so it's like, God forgives you, you got to forgive yourself. And it's kind of like one of those situations that we're much more harder on ourselves than the person we're asking forgiveness from. That person might have forgiven us a long time ago, or they let it go, and we're still beating ourselves up about it and pretty much keeping that hurt still alive because we're still thinking about it. We're still, traumatizing ourselves over and over and over again with the same information and reliving this moment and, oh, I could have done it this way. Oh, it could have been better here and all that stuff. But it's not about that. You have to eventually let it go. And the faster you let it go, the faster you can heal, the faster you can move on. This journey of self-healing and self-development and self-improvement is not pretty. Sometimes you're going to be alone in a room, ugly crying sometimes. You're going to be over there ugly crying. You're going to be by yourself. Nobody's going to know the stuff that you had to do to get to better. But it's worth it. And you have to forgive yourself in the process. And just let it go. Let it go forever. It happened. And sometimes it didn't even happen the way you believe it happened, because it turns out the place where we store our memories is also the same place we have our imagination. So that's why a lot of times we have like false memories. We think somebody did something really bad or something's really great, and as a matter of fact it was either neutral, or you think something was great and was actually really bad, because you get to make that stuff up. You get to fill in the gaps with your imagination. So half the time our memories aren't even accurate half the time. But what I'm saying is you keep memorizing and you're almost like story building, and you're imagining, and you're doing all this stuff. And the thing is, it's like you have to let it go. You have to move on. You have to just be better. Like, you can't change the fact that this may or may not happen. So forgive yourself if it's something that you let happen. Forgive yourself for holding on to the grudge so long. And forgive yourself for dwelling on it for as long as you did. Like, you just have to forgive yourself and let it go. That was really on my heart because I was thinking about that last night, and I was like, this is rough. Like, I didn't think I had to go through all of this. I've never delved this deep into self-healing and all that stuff. I've never thought about it. I've been pretty surface level with a lot of stuff, with a lot of relationships, with a lot of thoughts, and it's a tangled web we weave up in there. So that's all I had on that, but it was really pulling at my heartstrings, and it's something that I really have to get done for myself. I have to forgive myself. I have to move forward with myself. I have to stop judging myself for my past actions. And I can do it for other people, so it should be easier to do it for yourself, right? But it's harder because I guess you know all your demons. You know all the darkness and the other things that you deal with that nobody knows about, either consciously or subconsciously. So I think that's the reason why it's harder to forgive ourselves about that. So that's my spiel. Everybody love yourself. Everybody forgive yourself. Like, truly forgive yourself. Not in the frou-frou, like, oh, you should love yourself. You should get some self-esteem. You should forgive yourself. Like, some of the times I hear those words and it seems so empty because people just keep saying it and they don't really. Sometimes I feel like it's just a way to dismiss you. Like, oh, just forgive yourself and move on with your life. And it's like, no, you have to actually sit down with yourself, journal it out, write it out, meditate it, whatever you need to do to get it out, scream it out, punch some pillows, I don't know. But you really have to sit down with yourself and get through it, like get through the work. And that's like, you get that breakthrough, and then that's when the real work begins. Like, you have to actually do some work, not just say, oh, I forgive myself, and then move on. Because that's the way I've always seemed like when I heard it, that's what it seemed like to me. Like, oh, I'm supposed to just say, I forgive you, self, and go on with my life. I was like, that's not how it really works. You have to really actually dig deep in there and get some stuff out, get through the muck, get through the facades, get through the temporary shields, and actually get to the core of yourself. And that's the part that needs to be forgiven. Your shadow self needs to be forgiven. All that stuff. Like, you need to be 100% real when you're doing this stuff, because that's the only way you're actually going to get through it. All right. That's all I got. Thank you guys for listening. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so you can get all the content that I put out. And I'll talk to y'all in the next time. Okay. Bye.